Greetings. Hey,
Hey.
LL.
How's it going?
It's good.
Are we
I'm
ready for our next episode?
Ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Woohoo.
All right.
Welcome to the Modcast. This is Rotate the Set.
Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell that we keep asking you to do that. And we have a really exciting episode, and we actually have to split it up because it was too long.
There's too much. We got
But
too
this
much
is
to
going to
cover.
be a nitty-gritty, dirty episode.
Yep. Behind the cameras at QVC.
Yes.
The
and
Untold Backstage story.
Right. And if you have been a long-time QVC fan, because there are people...
Wow. Yep. It's been
Let us know. Let us know if you ever watched it, if you ever, who your favorite host is, because we're friends with a lot of the hosts still. Actually, we meet up with them.
We do.
We get together. It sort of stopped around COVID a little bit, but we were having like once or twice a year meet up with all the hosts and everything. So you're going to be surprised about how hard
it was working in the early days. So QVC went on there in 1986.
Presenting QVC, America's newest cable shopping channel.
We both started in 1987, and we want to just talk about what we experienced back then in the early days.
So how did you get your job there at QVCL?
So it was 1987, cold, dark night. It was a moist night. I forget what book that's from, or movie. It was Cold, Dark Night. Yeah. No, so I went, Jim Brooks was working at QVC. He's a friend of mine from college. We both went to Montco together.
We were friends as well.
Yes.
FYI.
So you got the same thing?
No, not from him, but you did. You got it from
Oh, I did. Yeah. Yeah, so 1987, he told me that QVC was hiring. It was still a startup. Nobody knew what was going to happen. So I interviewed in March of 87. There were a bunch of layoffs in April, and then I got hired in May.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. How about you?
So I did an internship during my junior year at LaSalle University, and it was at an NBC affiliate, and I was working on a live talk show, and there was a live nighttime show. Actually, it wasn't live, but my cousin-in-law, my sister-in-law's cousin,
Adler.
Craig Adler, he worked there, and after college, I actually lived in Spain. I did a semester in Spain, and then I came back, and he goes, "Hey, QVC's hiring. Do you want to go for an interview?" And I did. And as I was taking the tour, I looked up on the stage because I was backstage, and there's Elle, not knowing who the heck she is, brushing the lint off a bust that we would describe what that means, to put the necklace on so the host could sell it.
You had to make sure the bust was completely clean, no little dust or.
We will get into
We'll
that
talk
because
about that, but
I was on
I
display.
took my job serious.
We took seriously.
Seriously. Thank you for the Lee. Also, I do have to say I did a lot of stage managing in college and after college, and I think that was part of how I got into, because I was a stage manager, and what we were doing.
And I was a communications major, radio, television,
RTF.
film, and journalism. And I actually
RTF.
liked journalism. I could have been a communications lawyer and be rich.
She really could.
I really enjoyed that. But I also, when I interned, it was a live show. All my television experience has been with live shows.
We'll do it live.
Which is really
So that's how mine was. But then I started working at a university, and now I'm doing the post-production. I'm enjoying the post-production now.
So we worked backstage, and we'll describe what that means. And it was not what you think.
No, and it was, we're both 21. 22.
I was 20. I was 20. I was 22. I was 22.
And it was
23.
It was all live.
We'll do it live.
24/7.
364 days a year.
Only day we shut down was
Christmas
Eve at 6:00. And then we opened up back again.
3 shifts, days, prime, overnight, rotating shifts, which we will
different
describe.
days off, and it would change every 3 weeks.
Every 6 weeks.
It was 3 weeks when we started.
But it turned to 6 weeks. And then people, she included, I've had at least 3 people had to stay in my apartment because they showed up on the wrong shift on the wrong day.
I did that. I did that a couple times. You can't keep track of what day
It was so hard because
You're
they
a zombie.
rotated in the wrong direction. And,
Yeah.
and I mentioned that because it's not like a universal thing. Can we rotate in the other direction where it's more natural to our body clocks? No. Okay. All right. So anyway,
but it was exciting. Our early impressions
we were all in our 20s or early 30s.
And we got a broadcasting job, a live broadcasting job.
It was incredible. Everybody's goal was to get to the control room because we were called, believe it or not, PCs, product coordinators. And I did a different route, which may or may not have bitten me in the butt at the end, but it is what it is. But
I ended up going up at the control room. I was more of a technical mindset. She was more of a creative. She was
psychotic
display, but she was innovative in her displays.
I started the display department, which is now this big thing, but there was none back in the day. So
needless to say, I'm hoping we're conveying this. It was a grind.
It was very, very it was a hard job. So what happened is, and we're just going to talk about Backstage right now. We're not going to talk about the other positions. So Backstage, you worked with the host, and there were 2 positions for the live show.
3
for the live show.
Oh, I'm sorry. 3. I'm sorry. 3 positions to set up products, but there was the host product and then the display product.
Oh, I'm talking about human being positions.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry.
The host.
So everything at QVC, you get 2. You get 2 of. One for the host and one for the beauty shot. Which back in the day was all live.
We'll do it live.
Nowadays, they take all the products and they record it on DVD.
FMV was full motion video, but now it's all digital files.
Where you could take your time and do it. But back in the day, you did not have the luxury of time.
It was all done. It was all done live, but now it's all done pre-production and it's stored, and it changes because sometimes you might have different colors in something, or the pieces of it change. So you take the time and you set it up so it's a beauty shot.
However, the jewelry box, it was a
big light
box, and it rotated chains and you rotated stuff on the turntable. That was okay because everything was reflected, but the non-jewelry shots was a carpeted box. So for your garden show, you had a carpet. For a doll show, you had a carpet. For a cooking show, you had a carpet, so whatever. But what happens is there were usually 4 people working backstage. You had a lead who would set up all the shows. So let's say 2 a.m. was a Craftsman show and 3 a.m. was a cooking show. While your team was working on the 1 a.m. show, the lead would set up the first 3 products, center, right, and left for the host to go to for all the shows and get the scripts and get all the staging done. Then you had another person who pulled the shows. And back in the day, we pulled our own shows. We had shelves and shelves and layers.
And there was 2 floors, so you had to go up and down steps to go. And you're carrying towels and duvet comforter sets
and up these
Craftsman
steps.
tools.
But what happened is you got the script. You waited anxiously for the script to come as early as possible because you had to pull for the midnight show. And sometimes that script didn't come till like 11 o'clock. So then you had to go through a card catalog and find every item that they were pulling, because it was like F23, J491. You had to go and find it, write down the location
of where it's stored, because you had aisles and aisles and aisles.
And then you had to pull it and bring it down. And then you set it up for the table for the next group, but you had to make sure,
all the pieces were there.
This is a doll that is supposed to have a bassinet, a hair tie,
and you had to if the doll was stuffed in a box, like the hair gets matted, so you had to puff
prep
up the hair,
or if it was a glass frame, you had to clean it off, fingerprints, things like that.
Craftsman tools, you had to make sure all the tools were there.
All 712 pieces. It was fun. So that's what the puller did. And then you had the set person who worked directly with the host. So Eleanor is selling this pair of glasses. I'm at the center stage setting up this banana. She's not there yet. Then she's going to sell this cup. Eleanor's done with the glasses, put the glasses down. She moves to the banana. I leave and get up and remove the glasses and put the bell quietly.
Because it's live.
We'll do it live.
So every hour, nonstop, that's what you did. And the host, sometimes you're under the host. Sometimes
crawling around.
something falls and you're handing it up to the host. They don't know. Sometimes the host doesn't know what it is, and you're trying to like point
Explain it to them, or
while you're still trying to sell the rest of the products going on. And then there was the display person who would do the beauty shot, set up the beauty shot, and then leave because they could only do one product at a time. And when the set person who's running and sweating, and it was a hard job, would just throw down the product, then the display person had to pack it all up, put it in a box, and put it on a thing to return to the original position. 4 people, if you were lucky. Sometimes you had 3 people, and
sometimes 2. I was on overnights one time, and I was just me and Phillips. And we were doing this show midnight, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I was tired. We were pulling product. We were doing the set. We were doing the box.
So, like, sometimes you have Craftsman tool day, and it's 24 hours of Craftsman tools.
Or fashion day.
Well, just Craftsman alone, just carrying the boxes out.
Oh, it's heavy.
It hurt you. Yeah. Fashion day, steaming fashion formulas, everything comes in 32 colors. You had to do that, and then you had to make sure, the models were dressed and go out and make sure they were the right things. Yeah, cooking, all day cooking. Here's 17 sets of 17 pieces.
Pots and pans. Silverware.
Strike them quietly, set them up quietly.
Can't even tell you how many times I dropped stuff and the host would just look over me like,
you're just like, yeah, okay. I mean,
good job, Elle. And they would call you out on it too.
Yeah, just like it was a really hard show. Another very, very hard show was like a duvet show. We had 2 freaking beds.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so you know how you look in a catalog and it's so pretty? Well, yeah, the first 2 are always really pretty.
Because you have time to set them up.
Okay, then they go to the second bed. You're crawling into the duvet, and then you're trying to get. You know what it's like to change a bed once a week, and you're not doing the duvet and all the shams and all that? Try doing 14 beds in an hour, and then like you have to make sure the duvet is all the way down in the duvet cover, and make sure it's all slack, and then you come out. And it looks like you just wrestled an alligator. And everybody's like, what's the matter? I'm like, shut up. Like, shut. It was.
That satin sheet set. There were like 8 different colors.
And every time you put the pillows on, they slid off because it was like cheap.
It was cheap.
It was cheap. So it was really. Go ahead.
The next year, they did get a dumb waiter. We used to have to run up and down the steps all night long.
So we got a
dumb waiter, and you would lower you'd fill up the dumb waiter and then lower it down. And then sometimes we in the middle of the night.
Not we.
We would try to put people in there and lower them down and drop them.
It was such a physically hard job. Like at one point, I said, I wish I would get hit by a car just hard enough that I could get a week off.
Because it's exhausting, and the hours, yeah.
And then the other pressure that you had, and you're like, 24 hours of jewelry. Okay, not a heavy lift. Physically not a heavy lift. Okay, lobster claw class, herringbone, chain link. You had to measure. You had to make sure it was correct length, the correct class, because if you went out with the wrong product, and it had happened a few times, you were in trouble.
Yep.
So the person pulling the show had to double check. The lead who set the show up in product order would have to check. And the set person would have to check, and the host supposedly, whatever.
It was a triple, quadruple check,
and
multiple checks, especially because if you got a bag and there were 2 different chains in the bag, you're like, oh, ass bomb.
Like, what is it? Like, and you're like, hold on. But like, we had an episode where the wrong doll went out, and. Everybody was expecting like a Marie Antoinette doll, and instead they got like a Marie Osmond doll, and we had to honor, like give them like the money back, get them the right thing, and that was not a good thing. And the other biggie was the Craftsman tool. Every Monday at 9:00 with Steve Canatuno,
Steve
Canatuno Fish. He did that, and we put a set out, and the price was $29, and every Craftsman looked at that like. That's the wrong price.
We got to buy it, and they bought
it out, and it was actually a $400 set. So what happens is you put the set out, and it's a paper. You have the cards with the host card. You're like, okay, up next is C421 Craftsman tool set. You said the price, you said the shipping, and they had to confirm it upstairs, so they put the right graphic up.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we did have the right product, but upstairs the
Had the wrong
graphics.
graphic or the information was.
So you were always confirming. So you're always on headset. You always had to keep quiet, and the real skill was to talk to somebody
and
be on headset and
And-
answer the phone.
and answer the phone or talk to people or talk to your coworkers, or talk to the people in the control room off headsets, but you've got headsets on, so you're still listening to headsets.
Like
It was
clear,
challenging. And clear, concise communication. We learned clear, concise communication skills.
yeah, you had to do that. So that's how also we got the name Rotate the Set, because it was very innovative at the time. It was a round set with 4 pie slices, patio, kitchen, jewelry set, and living room. And you had to rotate the set. It was huge. It was
big.
heavy. There was times when like the grandfather clock fell, we rotated, and it rotated into a steel pillar, and then it stopped. And we had to do the show like half the set was like off or whatever. But what you had to do is you had to put on a blinking red light, so
And
everybody would go,
scream,
"Rotate
rotating the set,
and you waited like
clear set,
clear set, and then you were rotated. A couple times the set just stopped, so we're all like pushing,
pushing the set.
and it was,
And at one time, the an engineer was up doing the lights, and he was
Oh.
hanging from the lighting grid.
I remember
Because
that.
the set is, it's a pie, but he was hanging and he was yelling. That was one thing.
Yeah, you had to be
Um,
careful.
Lights, they would burst and they'd come crashing down on the set.
I was doing Jeff Houston.
Thanks for the Jeffrey.
Thanks for he was one of the original hosts, and he was a perfectionist, and he want you to be just as a perfectionist, and he liked me. I really try hard to please him.
Same
So
here.
I always did it with every job, but some hosts were just so nice to you. And I'm setting something up and a light burst, and it sounds like a gunshot. And I jumped, and I'm in this like you do your hand up, and I'm in the set next to him. I'm like, "Oh, hi, Lisa." I'm like, "Hi." I'm like, "Goodbye." I'm leaving now. Midnight. How many times did you model?
Oh my gosh.
Get a PC out here, product coordinator. Get a PC. Put a
had-
shirt on.
Put the shirt on, put the 5-0 backpack on.
Because they didn't have models
They didn't have
overlays.
models.
And like, oh, Lisa, what are your nails look like? Can you model a ring for us? I remember Sue going like this. I'm like, what are you, a spider? Like thing from Adam's Family or whatever. But that's why I like when I do the banana and there's a glare, like I'm pretty
You
good
have
at
to adjust it.
like we
Yeah.
have to adjust it. But
You learn.
yeah, there was a couple times.
One time we were selling a Capodimonte
It's an Italian. It is
porcelain
sculpture, and it's sharp. You get
It's got
cut.
flowers, and there's always little pieces of foam.
You know, how the packing film,
So-
like it's
and
so busy. How many times have I gone out? And
And
you
you're
see,
like, what's that white? Oh, it's the packing
it's a
foam.
popcorn.
Oh, we had air blowers to blow it. But we sold this Capodimonte shoe planner. So one time I was delivering the product out to the host live. It was Paul Kelly.
Yeah, probably.
And I started walking out of the set, and I had both.
Her feet are small.
I fit into the shoe planner, so I walk out with it, and I pull it off, and I put it on the table, and Paul's like, okay, well, this is something new. Well, you can also wear these.
Some of the hosts were I had Max, my dog Max was on a few times selling the flea to
And
collar.
your cat.
And
Booker.
Booker with Mike Rowe. If
Ooh.
you YouTube Mike Rowe with the cat sack,
Cat sack.
he mentions Lisa, he mentions Booker.
Whose cat is that? I think it's Lisa's. Looks like Lisa's cat. Is that Booker? That's Booker the cat. You faked me right out, Ellie.
But Mike Rowe used to hang out with us all the time. And Pat James Dementry.
Oh,
She lived
I
in my.
love
We
Pat.
hung out. Jane and I went to her wedding. I helped out with her wedding and everything. Yeah, Mike Rowe was
It
awesome.
was everybody was
a family.
A family. It was
Except when you weren't.
Yeah. Well, there was drama and stuff, but you really you were doing these weird hours. It was a live show.
Yeah, after the midnight shift, 7 a.m., everybody went out to breakfast. So
Yeah.
you would go to sleep or something like that.
We would go to Jake's in Westchester. Jake's is a
Square
thing-
bar,
Square bar,
which
but-
was actually a triangle bar
true. But Jake's was the only bar that was open.
at 7 a.m.
So here we are getting off at 7 or 8 a.m. going to Jake's.
But then you didn't have a social hour. And
Well, that was our
speaking
social hour,
and the
yeah.
shifts, like you're like, oh, so you had to work shifts. Okay, so we had all right, when I started, they made it every 6 weeks. So listen to what the shifts were. You got you got the weekend off. Then you start your new shift. So you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not bad. Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Saturday.
Saturday, Sunday,
Was it Monday, Sunday?
Monday, Sunday.
Monday, that was your split. We tried doing that on overnights when you can only sleep. And then the next week you had your weekend off for the next weekend. And you like
It was
that
backwards.
we gave up quite a bit. We gave up. So
Like,
like
didn't have a life. Yeah, I can't even.
that's why we made friends with everybody there, because you didn't have a life.
Yeah.
You couldn't have you did not have a life. Marriages broke up,
Oh my gosh. Yep.
not because of that, like other people before that,
Yep.
and like because and a lot of people would be moving to work there at QVC, so when you don't have Thanksgiving off, but you're off at night, you can't drive home to Ohio. So if you were actually off, you invited people to your house to join in with your family. Like, yeah, I barely know this person, but they're by themselves on the
I think we
holidays.
started Friendsgiving.
Oh yeah,
And we didn't even realize it. But that's
one Thanksgiving we had Craig. It was Craig. Don't put any shows, even the cooking show on the cooking set, because there was a working stove. And this is like late 80s. And instant mash, instant stuffing, turkey. People were buying. So I didn't work on the show that day. I didn't work.
You just cooked the dinner.
I just cooked for everybody. That's what I did.
So you did
And
Thanksgiving
that was
dinner.
something weird that you never ever did. Like you never got away from the show. But he did. He put the cookie show on the patio set, and he goes, "Yeah, well, it's Thanksgiving. Screw it. We're just gonna."
I said, that's okay to do something different. It wasn't at the time, but
it was really different. So yeah, we had a lot.
But there was a lot going on. At one point, somebody rotated the set, or somebody. Sorry, it wasn't rotated set. Somebody fell off the set, and she was hurt, and she had to go to the hospital. But the next day, I came in.
There's a body.
There's a body outline with a taped outline, and then she fell on a table, and it was broken, and the pieces were all around. But it was
we got in trouble for that one.
We got in trouble
what
for
the freak? And then I remember. All right, this happened to me. I was in the kitchen of the second studio, and I was cutting something with this sharp knife set, and I cut my finger, and I saw my bone. And I'm near the sink, and there was a guy from Show Control who eventually we had so much product, we had to move it to a different department. And I'm like, "Hey, Troy," and he goes, "What?" Like I said, "Troy," he goes, "What?" And I'm like feeling like, "Oh my God, can you grab me a towel?" And he goes, "What?" "Oh, blah, 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 blah." So I had to go to the hospital, and there was a bet on how many stitches I would get. Like I had 7. I saw my bone. It was a good knife.
I didn't mean to laugh, but oh my gosh.
It was a Thursday because I remember Cosby was on when I was in the waiting room. I could tell you the day of the week. But we had that. And then we had like weird things happen, like the Bastille Day fire.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
I was
that.
there. So yeah, this is really bad. So we had the main stage, and then we had like a psych area. And we had Bastille Day, and a light blew, and the embers went on the canopy. And Bob Arsax was on cooking. And it starts smoking. And the first thing I do is grab my pocketbook and just get it out of there. And then we had a really heavy duty curtain. I closed the curtain so that may stop it from spreading.
Yeah.
And then I got on my headsets. I'm like, "Security, there's a fire backstage." Tommy O. He comes running back, and he's, "Oh my God, there's a fire!" Like, and we couldn't even get to it because it was up high. And then you hear, "Where's my spatula?" We're fighting a fire backstage, and Bob's like,
"The show is going on. The live show is going on.
Where's my spatula?" I'm like, so I run up, and there's a fire. Like, "Here's your spatula." Like, so everybody, control room, it was like, oh, they're all looking because they could see down through the glass. Like, "Oh, there is a fire. There is a fire." We got it out. Nobody was harmed, but it was pretty funny, And then how about the beam porcelain?
Oh my gosh.
So we had a show.
This beam porcelain.
It was very pretty, and they're like, "Okay,
everybody be careful."
Everybody had to wear like surgical, like everybody,
white gloves. We had to
like
dust everything.
$15,000 was I'm not making this up, was the median price.
It was expensive.
And everybody, like, the big people came down. They unboxed it. Like we weren't even allowed to unbox it. It wasn't even put away. They had their representatives, and they're like, okay. And we're working with our friend Jane. She has a can of air, and she's like, and she goes, "What?"
Falls over the table.
No.
Oh.
She had a wing of a bird, and the wing falls off, and she's like, "I'm fine." And I'm just like, it was
Oh my
13,
gosh.
10 to 13, but like there was a $20,000 piece, and she just like looks, I'm fired. I'm
She
fired.
did not get fired, but oh boy.
But like, and I was the lead that day, and I just like, and then you have to rate it up. You're like, crap. Like, are you kidding? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So that was bad and funny and bad and funny.
So wait, I had a couple. So they had two rotating. They had the rotating main set and then two side sets where you'd have the display and then you'd have two games, the lucky number and the word game wheel. One time we had to rotate the pod left and to get to the word game wheel, and that rotated around and then it fell off. That was one that was scary. The engineer getting caught in the light grid, that was another one.
How about who was the one that pulled the whole light box apart when they fell? Was it Jane?
That was Jane again too.
So there was a round. It was all lucite, which was expensive, and then the front had a round circle, and she lost her.
Well, she was holding on to the front of the light box, and she lost her balance and fell back and pulled out.
And I'm the light box queen. I'm the box queen. Is what we're gonna get into that. And I come back. What happened to my light box? What happened to my light box? Like, this is the only good thing we had.
Not Jane, are you okay?
What's going
on with the light box?
Like, so yeah, that was pretty funny. But the funny thing is, when you did the initial shift, person A would be first 4 hours would be set, and then they would switch to box, which is the box display, and then vice versa. And some people would be like, yeah, here's a mug. Goodbye. Fingerprints, like everything on it. And I'm just like,
no attention to detail.
Like, no creativity. So then, but this is what I'm telling. All right, so you come in like, oh, I have a Craftsman show. Oh, I go on in 5 minutes. I need to get a Craftsman set up and go and do all this. Oh, what's my next show? Oh, it's a doll show. What's my doll thing? As I'm doing all the Craftsman stuff on this one box, making it look like a Craftsman, then making it immediately look like a dollhouse, then immediately trying to make it look like a kitchen. For some reason, I excelled at that. And there were a couple times where they stopped the show because there was one display, the Bagel Watch. There was a Bagel Watch, and it was a Bagel Watch, all these different disc color, and people just like put the foam in the box. And I'm like, all right, I can't stand this display. No. So I put the watch on the stand, and then I put all the things on a rotator and spun around, and like the host stopped the show. I'm like, finally, somebody like knows how to do that. So they were like, oh, Lisa knows how to do display. So eventually when I was on shift, I got to do all the display, and some of the people were asking for me to do their shows. So, and then eventually I started the display group, and it evolved from there.
History. Yep.
So, and the big thing was rings and earrings. Like, so television is a close-up medium, and things that work in a jewelry store or in a store window or even in a magazine ad do not work in television. Like, you can have a little fuzz in something in a store window and no one notices. But when close-up medium, you see it. So we always had to make sure we had lighters. You would think we were all smokers.
But you would see a little tiny
hair or something or fuzz. You always had to burn it off. You always were wiping it down. There was always Windex around. And then, like, sometimes if you put it in a ring stand, it was all right, but sometimes it didn't work with the ring. So if you had like turquoise jewelry, we had to go out in the parking lot, find some wood to put it on, but you had to stand it up. So we put the hot glue industry in the black that year because we would be hot gluing.
Yeah.
I hot glued everything. I had no fingerprints on these two fingers between the lighters getting hot and me burning my hands on the hot glue and just putting it in. And they call me box queen. So that's why I was a big fish in a little pond. But and then centering the rings.
Oh, that was a skill.
That was a skill, and I would win so much money. Like, you can't do a 2-hour ring show. I'm like, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
And and then you see, because when it says centering, yeah, you had to center it, but not centering visually, because then it rotates out of the frame. You're like, can someone fix the box, please? Can someone fix the box? Our item is gone. Like,
and it's so funny when you see it live, when you see the ring rotating,
You're
and
like-
then it just rotates out of the shot, and nobody notices.
and you're like, where's the ring? There's like nothing there.
Get
You
out
know?
of the shot.
Or if you're doing the hot glue with the later, and then you did it too much, and then it goes because the hot glue just like melts. Like, it was whatever. How about that crystal show, Swarovski crystal?
Oh my gosh! Oh, those little...
So so you had the set item, and then the box item was called the duplicate, dupe. And sometimes they're like the bean porcelain. Like, we would only have one, so there's like no dupe. So the host knows to get out so that the camera can take shots of it without the host in the shot, things like that. So, hey, Swarovski little figurines, you put them on a pad and you took them out to the host. So the show's coming up. We take the one pad out to the host, and the other person's walking up with the pad, trip, fall, every piece breaks, and you're just like, okay, the show's starting, and we have nothing to show for the duplicate. And then you hear, no dupe. And like, for what product? No dupe for the show. Like, no dupe for the show. Like, you're like, because you're going to get shot. And the producer, some producers are nice. Some producers kick the door open. Like, what no? Like, yeah, they chose it. Like, every piece is broken. So the poor host would have, okay, this is what we're selling this mug. And they'll measure it, do whatever. And then the host has to talk. And then, like, there's a shot, and then the product coordinator's taking the item out and putting it in the box so they can get the beauty shot. And the host is talking about nothing because there's nothing to talk about.
to show. Yep.
We had so many
crazy times.
It was so hard backstage,
but fun at the same time.
It was, and then we had the bread show, the cooking show. You had the bread maker,
making that bread,
and you always had to remember to make bread 4 hours before. And then you're like, when's the cookie show? Like crap, you didn't make the bread.
Okay, we got to move the bread maker to the end of the show.
Yeah, it's so big.
Because we had to show the bread coming out of the bread maker. So you had to time it.
So it's like Elle's selling 25 pots and pans, and I'm setting up the bread maker with all the ingredients and whatever. And then if they're still good, like, oh, okay, now I can get set up the whole silverware set. Then she moves to the bread maker, and I gotta run around all the way backstage, not cross, run around all it, and then strike everything, strike it, but not just strike, put up the next product, and you're just like, we were skinny minis back then.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh.
I was in good shape back then.
I was in really good shape too. I was thin and fit.
So
what do you?
Go ahead.
No. What do you think? What do you think working backstage taught us?
Oh, hire us. One take Jakes. We're called One Take Jakes. The live show goes on at 9. Your show is ready at 9. The person who didn't last too long, didn't have their doll show ready, well, they're just gonna have to wait for me. It's a live show. It's called a live show.
We'll do it live. Okay.
ABC, yeah. Yep.
But that's what it, like, everything had to be on time, and you had to depend on people, and you had to be dependable.
Yep.
And here we were, like a bunch of 20-somethings. Like, if you dropped the ball and didn't pull a show, the whole hour, everybody was gone.
And they're running around or trying to figure things out. So you had to be on, and you had to be professional. You had to be able to multitask. You had to make sure you were double, triple, quadruple checking everything. And you had to be flexible. Like,
you had to have a strong bladder too, because you couldn't always go to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, yep.
Like, if you got to go to the bathroom, you were lucky.
Also, the communication, clear, concise communication. I would always say my call sign was, "Hi, this is Elle," when I was on headsets. And then if somebody needed to talk to me, "Go for Elle." So I would say, "Go for Elle."
That's her, whatever. That's her slogan. Go for Elle. And I'm like, then she used it when she was dating. I'm like,
not a good idea.
But that's what I'm like, okay.
Also, I did learn that when I voiced my concern with the hours and that they were changing our hours and the rotating shifts and the rotating days off, I said something to our boss at the time,
Her name was-
Miskit.
Don't say the last name.
Miskit was her first name, and she was about 4'10", German woman. And I said, Miskit, you can't just change our schedule the day before. It's too difficult. I'm having trouble
Living.
living and adjusting. And she looked at me and she said, she put her glasses would always fall down at the end of her nose. And she said, Eleanor, you can be replaced, you know. Okay, well, thank you, Miskit. I appreciate that. And I learned something. And I was like, I enjoyed my job backstage, but I'm like, I wanted to do something more. And I didn't like that. But Eleanor, you can be replaced, you know. So I decided I wanted to go up the control room.
I did have something like that because, we had a lead meeting once a month. And if you were on overnights, you had to come in during the day while you were sleep, during your sleep time. And usually it only happened once, but I was on overnights and it happened a second time. And I said, no, I'm not coming in twice. You have to come in, have it next week because you're having it too soon. While I'm on vacation, I said, I'm sleeping. I am sleeping.
Yeah. And
I would go home and be asleep by 9:30 or 10. And then I had to get up at 1 o'clock and get dressed and go in for a meeting. Yeah, and then you wanted me to be on my top
on your
game.
A game.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
the
something.
same thing happened when I was a producer there too, and that did me in. But we learned a lot.
We made some really, really good
Well,
friends.
look at us. We're
Wow.
30,
Yeah.
37 years.
We met
38.
celebrities. We were going to have a whole different episode because we don't want to run too long. But yeah, and we're still for the book club, everything. We're doing.
yeah.
We have some good stories of,
And we learned a lot, especially just
live television.
Live television.
I'm
is
telling
hard.
you. Yeah.
But it's rewarding, and at that age, we could do it, and we did it well. And
so if you watch QVC these days, it's a little different now, but.
Well, now you know the term rotate the set.
But they don't rotate the set. Now it's just a long set. But if you see the host with a new product, now you know how the host got the product and how they got the information.
What was going on backstage.
And how much work pre, post, and during was happening. Yeah,
And we were the grunts. We were doing it.
We were happy. Yeah, we were happy. So.
We were in broadcasting, so it was exciting.
Go TV.
Yep.
Go TV.
So thanks for listening.
Oh, wait. What's your word?
Bananitarian. Rotate the set.
Dag Eleanor.
I know,
Today's you're the brain.
Oh my gosh. Well, you were the brain for last time. So it's
and
my
the time before.
Oh, ouch.
Burn.
Oh.
But that is good. And seriously, if you ever watch old clips of QVC, rotate the set.
Rotate the set.
That's our QVC days. Excellent.
So.
Excellent.
Yep. So we hope you enjoyed today's.
Subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any products that you liked from QVC, we can't really do anything about it. And if you have any complaints, we really
can
can't
tell
do
us
anything.
about it. Share some stories. The heat lamp.
Oh my God.
So on that note, we're gonna wrap it up and rotate the set.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.